Hello everyone, and welcome to this presentation of our Research Master in Arts, Literature and Media. My name is Maria Bolezzi and I'm Associate Professor in Literary Studies at the Leiden University Center for the Arts in Society, and I am currently the Program Director of this Research Masters. In the studio with me are our study advisor, Laura Kouters, and our second year student from this Research Master, Jan Dardenville, who will also say a few things in a bit. So today I will tell you a few things about what you can expect from these Research Masters if you choose to go for it. And before I talk about the program, let me zoom out a bit first. Now, as you might know or not, study programs at Leiden University are organized through research institutes. This Research Masters is part of the Leiden University Center for the Arts in Society. This is one of the institutes that belongs to the Faculty of Humanities. Now, LUCAS, as we call it, is an interdisciplinary institute that focuses mostly on the relation between the arts and society. It's responsible for several master's and BA programs, and it hosts about 180 academic staff members and also about 100 PhD candidates. And the scholars at LUCAS, they look at cultural production from classical antiquity to the contemporary moment through three research clusters that are based on periods. So we have the classics cluster, the medieval and early modern cluster, and the modern and contemporary cluster. Now, our research MA program draws mostly from the last two clusters because it involves two informal lines of specialization, one in medieval and early modern cultures, and the second one in modern and contemporary periods. Now let me get to the profile of our program. Now, what's this program about? The program is a product of a relatively research merging of two previous research master's programs in arts and culture and in literary studies. The three keywords in this program, arts, literature, and media, but also the two lines in it, the medieval early modern and the modern contemporary line, create a choice that is not perhaps the most traditional or self-evident choice to combine in a research master program. So let me try to motivate this choice. So what connects the three keywords of the program and its two lines, the medieval early modern and the contemporary line? Studying artifacts from the past or texts from the past doesn't really only tell us about the past, but it also changes our perception or understanding of the present moment. Just like studying contemporary art and literature very often compels us to critically revisit the past and see things in a very different light from our positionality in the present. So in this program, we cultivate this awareness of the ways in which past and present constitute each other in a relation of mutual influence, not just as an one-way influence of the past on the present, but also how the present can influence our understanding of the past. So we believe that knowledge of contemporary culture, art, literature can give you new perspectives on the study of previous cultures and vice versa, of course. Now, why media? We take media quite broadly in this program. The knowledge produced by works of art and literature, past and present, is always multiply mediated through the contexts in which these objects are called to function, both in the past but also in the present when we study them, through language itself, through the materials that these objects or artifacts are made of, like print or paint, for example, but also, especially as we move towards the modern and contemporary period, through other media like photography or cinema, video games, social media that literature or art engage with or incorporate in various ways. Fictional narratives, for example, can easily travel today from literature to cinema, to video games, to many different media. So this interdisciplinary research master deems such transhistorical and transmedial conversations essential for humanities research and for its social impact, even when our research focuses on one specific period or one medium or genre. So we bring together, you could say, the best of three worlds, arts, literature, and media, through a program that combines theoretical and historical training with quite a lot of free space for specialization. So we do encourage you to specialize, but we also encourage you to not just stay within the bubble of your research field. So what we want to do in this program is also train you to talk to other fields through your research, to assert the broader relevance of your research through dialogues with other fields or people working in other periods. So in our core courses, for example, you will be asked to show how your research paper, let's say on video games, could be interesting or relevant for classmates working on medieval romances. And if you learn how to do that, how to pitch your research in this way, then it becomes a lot easier to pitch your research also to not only to peers, but also to the broader academic community, to selection committees in future grant applications, but also, why not, to your friendly neighbor or your skeptical uncle or your grandmother. So this is the program build-up. I will say a few things about how the program is set up. The program has 2 lines, as you can see, which are symmetrically built up, and I will explain what that means. First of all, all students of this program are required to take 2 common courses. These are the Lucas seminar in cultural history in the 21st century and the Lucas writing seminar in your second year. In the Lucas seminar, cultural history in the 21st century, you get acquainted with basic texts in cultural history, but you also learn how to more practical things, like how to develop a fascinating research question, how to position yourself in a certain field of study, how to come up with a topic that also speaks to people working in other fields, how to talk to one another when your interlocutors are from different fields. In the writing seminar in the second year, you will prepare for the writing of your thesis, but the seminar also does a lot more than that. It trains you in writing, for example, a narrative CV, in presenting in a conference setting, so formal presentation, writing an abstract, writing an actual paper, an article for publication, revising it based on peer review, doing peer reviews yourself, and turning your ideas into a research proposal. For the rest of the program, you can pick one of these lines that I mentioned, the early medieval or the modern contemporary line. Now, some students have a pretty clear idea or preference for a line, and they stick to that, but that's not necessary. You can also mix up things. A lot of our students, if they're interested in courses that belong to the other line, they are very free to do that. So the border between the 2 lines is an open border, not a closed one. Now, besides the core courses that I just mentioned, each line also has one methodological course in which you get acquainted with basic methodologies, theoretical frameworks, and methodological concepts in the study of either medieval early modern cultures and contexts or modern and contemporary. And you also learn how to bring these methodological concepts to bear on specific case studies, how to use them in practice. Each line also has 2 theme courses, as we call them. These are courses which focus on a specific theme or a genre. In the historical line, the medieval early modern, these courses are the epic course, which is a course focusing on the genre of the epic from pre-modern to modern times, and the course Imagining Reconciliation in Arts, Literature and Media, which is a course focusing on the theme of reconciliation trans-historically and trans-culturally. In the contemporary line, the theme courses focus at the moment on questions of law and justice in arts, literature and media. So this is the course that explores the transdisciplinary field of law and literature. And another course on digital media and machinic cultures, which looks at the machine-centered logic of our present-day culture and how digital media, new imaging technologies relate to each other, and how art and the political also relate to each other. Then you also follow seminars or courses from the national research schools worth 10 ECs. And I will talk a little bit about what the national schools are in a second. Now, in your second year of this program, you also do what we call a case-based research. This component of the program gives you the opportunity to work individually or in very small groups of 2, usually with a scholar from Lucas and a senior scholar working on a specific ongoing research project by this scholar. And you get to contribute actively to this project, bring your own ideas, and also hopefully, of course, gain ideas, methods, and ways of doing research for your own research. Finally, you also choose 3 electives, and there the possibilities are more or less limitless. You can choose electives from other master's programs in Leiden, from our institute, from other institutes, but you could also look at follow master courses in other universities in the Netherlands. Now, one of these electives that we specifically recommend is the Leiden elective academic periodical, also known as LEAP. This is a course in which students work together as an editorial team under the guidance of 2 senior instructors in order to prepare the next issue of the annual peer-reviewed journal, faculty-brought journal, LEAP, Leiden elective academic periodical. So you get to follow through the whole process of an academic publication, and you also get to publish your own article, your own work in that issue. Now, let me say a couple of things about the national research schools. As I said before, you are required to collect 10 EC points by following courses or seminars at national research schools. But what are these national research schools? These are basically hubs for research, and they are partly responsible for training programs for research master students and also PhDs. So all of these schools have a rich educational program that comprises courses, but also shorter workshops or master classes, conferences, and in some cases also winter schools or summer schools. The list of national schools that you see on your screen are the 8 schools from which you are allowed to pick courses. You are required to register for one of these schools, but you don't have to stick to the program of that school. You are free to take courses in any of these schools as long as they relate to your interests. So these schools give you the opportunity during your study to broaden your network, to get a sense of the research agenda in the Netherlands and internationally, to meet peers from other universities and get a sense of what's happening in other programs, in other universities. Finally, the program prepares you for your MA thesis. And if you're curious to get a sense of what kind of thesis topics our program has produced, I would advise you to browse through past theses in the Leiden thesis repository to get an idea. Now, if you do so, make sure to look under the Research Masters Arts and Culture or Literary Studies, because these are the former versions of our current program that became merged 2 years ago. If you do that, you will find there very diverse topics, ranging from maternal grief in 17th century English poetry or epistemologies of olfaction, smell, in early modern English literature and culture, to topics such as queer futurism and queer good life fantasy in popular fiction, grammars of utopia in modernist texts, or post-traumatic theater and tragedy in the Squid Game. So, in a nutshell, what are the perks of this program? This is a program that is disciplinary, but also multi- and interdisciplinary, which means basically that you can focus on a discipline and a specific period of your choice, but you're also exposed to interdisciplinary approaches, and you're also encouraged to do interdisciplinary work if you want. We also work with, in between and through very different media, and we pay a lot of attention not only to research skills, to getting you specialized on specific topics and methods, but also on transferable skills. These are skills that you can use beyond academia as well, right? So stuff like learning how to present formally, how to work together on a joint project, how to create a podcast or a blog, and how to publish or go through the publication process, how to do peer reviewing, etc. There is also a lot of space for specialization in this program. Basically, more than half of the program is open for you to fill in based on your own interests. You work with internationally oriented staff members from Lucas participating in state-of-the-art research, for example, through the case-based research that I mentioned. It's a very flexible program that gives you the opportunity to carve your own course based on your own interests, of course with our guidance. We are here to help you. And you get to build both a local and a national network through the participation in the national research schools. So this is a program that requires the students' initiative, an active role in co-shaping a personalized study program. It is also your responsibility to organize your program with our guidance, the guidance of the study advisor, the staff members. But we are looking for responsible students who are also willing to work together and autonomously. Now, where does this program take you, or where can it take you? A research master's, as opposed to one-year master programs, is particularly addressed to students with a passion for research, students who want to get trained into becoming researchers. These may be students who want to do a PhD afterwards or pursue a career in academia, but not necessarily, not only. So the skills you will get in this program are not just meant to be used in academia. The transferable skills that I mentioned, for example, but also the specialized knowledge this program gives you, prepares you for various career paths. To just mention a few examples, our alumni have gotten jobs at universities as PhDs, NGOs, governmental agencies, high schools, publishing houses, galleries, newspapers, etc. So there are many opportunities for pursuing a fulfilling career based on this program. Now, if you're interested in this program and you have no idea yet what you want to do in the program in terms of research topics or interests, or after the program, the good news is that with this research master's, you have 2 whole years to adjust to our academic culture, to grow, to discover your interest, what gets you going, and to get properly trained as a researcher. So whether you have your future career plans all figured out, or you have no idea what you want to do and how, this program might still be for you. It's a program that combines rigorous training with a lot of space for flexibility and the freedom to discover your interests. So this is a time to discover who you are, who you want to be as a researcher, and you can use the 2 years to experiment a little bit also with different fields and topics. So if you come, for example, from medieval studies, you might think that you have nothing to do with contemporary literature, but you might just be surprised. We've had students in this program who completely changed course in the 2 years that they did this program. One student, for example, came into the program with a background in classics and left with a fully paid PhD position at Oslo University on a project on European modernist literature. So a complete switch of course. And some of you might know exactly what you want to do and how, which is great. And many of you probably don't. That's not just okay, but it's pretty great too. This flexibility, when combined with intellectual curiosity, with openness to chance discoveries, to serendipity, might be a really great thing, especially in this program. So this program welcomes students with intellectual curiosity and willingness to explore different paths to get to where they want to go. For those of you who might be considering applying to start in February, in the middle of this year, please be aware of the upcoming deadlines. 15th of October for those who need a visa or residence permit, and November 15 for all other applicants.
Might I add something?
Yes.
So in 10 days, the application deadline is there for the visa students. If you are a student who has to do a language test, which is most of you, do be aware that you are allowed to apply for a program without the language test ready. If you're admitted, it will be on the condition that you hand in a language test before the start of the program, because I can imagine that in the next 10 days you're not able to do the language test just yet. But please do apply, and the language test can come later, but you still need to hand it in.
Thank you, Laura. So this was Laura Katers, a study advisor. She knows the ins and outs of the program. So if you have any further questions after this session, please feel free to contact her at the email address on your screens. And yeah, I hope to see some of you in February or maybe next academic year as students of our program. Now, I've talked a little bit about the program and its perks, but you shouldn't take my word for it. The word of a student should, after all, count more here, because students have this first-hand experience of the program and on a daily basis. So with me in the studio is our second-year master student, Jan Dardenville.
Hello, everyone.
Jan, thank you so much for being here and for doing this.
Thanks.
Jan, can you tell us a few things about why you chose to do this program? Like, what drew you to this research master's?
So I chose this program because I was looking for an English-speaking master's program in Europe, and I was also looking for one that was very interdisciplinary. I came from a liberal arts background in the US, and I learned in an interdisciplinary way. So I really wanted to continue that line, but I also didn't really know what my research interests were. I had some very broad ideas, and so I came into the program not knowing exactly what I was going to do, what medium or media I was going to work with, and so I kind of treated this program as a way of discovering what I wanted to do, and then also I think the program does a really good job of just deepening your theoretical knowledge in general. So like learning not only like the ins and outs of critical theory, but also like how to work with different media. I didn't come to this program as a media studies scholar, but I feel like now, after taking so many courses in like different things, I feel like I can call myself that. So I've definitely changed as I've been here. And then I think what's great about Leiden is that in addition to being just like a really good place to study, like the city is very nice and it's very centrally located. So if, for instance, research school courses can take place not just in Leiden, but in other cities like Amsterdam or Utrecht or Rotterdam. It's really nice to be in a location where you can easily train over to your courses. But it's also a really good university in terms of like who is on hand with Lucas. Like you have so many different people working on different things that like if you have any kind of interest at all in like a medium or a topic, there's probably a lecturer or a professor that can help you with that. So it's been really nice to also be able to make use of the resources at hand at the university.
That's good to know. So would you say that the program kind of met your expectations, or was it quite different from what you had expected in the beginning?
No, I think in a lot of ways the program has met my expectations, because I was looking for something that would be very flexible, and as you were saying in your presentation, the program is very flexible. And I think also I was looking to discover my research path, and I think now I've found my different research interests, and that was not only through like the core courses, but also through electives. I think the electives were really helpful for figuring things out. As an example, I never imagined that I would be interested in the digital humanities, but taking the digital media and machinic cultures course last year, I got really interested in questions like algorithmic governmentality and machinic vision, and somehow it kind of just became part of like the research constellation that I had for myself, and now I'm taking a research school course through NICA, the Netherlands Institute for Cultural Analysis, on the archaeologies of AI. So basically kind of how our cultural imaginary around artificial intelligence and algorithms has been informed by traditions like the 19th century spiritualist tradition and ghosts. So it's I think it's really cool that you have you just kind of, I think the program is very serendipitous. You really fall into certain things, and you like as long as you maintain an open mind, you can really thrive, I think, in the program. But I think that flexibility also comes with a risk, right? Like and with a certain amount of demand upon yourself. Like you need to be able to work autonomously. You definitely can, like you have resources and you can reach out for help, but a lot of the program is about making choices about what you're going to study. So if you there is a certain impetus for you to really take your study program for yourself and make something out of it, but that can also demand quite a bit of work. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think I enjoy mainly the breadth and the flexibility of the program, because like you can do a lot of different things, and usually when you come to the final research paper or the final assignment, I've had to do blog posts and also a podcast. You're given a lot of latitude with how you're going to approach the topic that you've been studying. So it's a really great time to experiment and to kind of find your voice and your research interests. I feel like you have a lot of sources from which you can derive inspiration. Mm-hmm. And so that's been really helpful, I think, for me. Yeah.
That's very good to hear. So on the one hand, it's a program that really encourages flexibility, freedom, but that also means, as you pointed out, that you really have to be kind of on top of things.
Yeah.
Make choices and actually do the work.
Yeah.
It's actually harder work to be
given that choice. But luckily also you're in the program with people who are in the same position. And I think research master's students are really highly motivated, and they'll all be you're all in the same boat, and so we help each other a lot. So it's also nice because you're not only creating a little academic community with your professors, but also with your mm-hmm. fellow students, and you take a lot of courses together. And so you really it's not the lonely hermetic. You're writing your thesis by yourself. You're taking your courses by yourself. It's really a nice and
a community.
Yeah, a community. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what can you tell us a bit about what you plan to do after you mm-hmm. finish this program?
Yeah. So this is a research master's program. So we've been prepared to do research, and with that in mind, I am currently applying for PhD programs back in the States, and I feel like I'm in a good position right now because I can, although I don't really know what my research project will be yet, not really either for my research master's thesis because it's still kind of early in the year for that. I know I can articulate what my research interests are, and I feel like I can also articulate what skills I've gotten through the program, and I know that even if I don't end up pursuing research long term, I can also I'm interested in teaching, and I feel like this program has also just given me a lot of skills that can use there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jan, for this. I think you probably anticipated a lot of questions by the audience. Well, let's see. Actually, I'm very curious
what kind of questions we have.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Not currently seeing them just yet.
No.
Okay, so the first question is it possible to study abroad in your specialization? If so, where can I find Leiden's partner universities? So yes, this is a possibility. We have, as we've said, a lot of elective space. And in that elective space, you can go abroad. Just keep in mind, it might mean that you extend your studies a bit. If you are interested in doing so, please reach out to me as study advisor, because I would love to help you with that. And there was a second question that just flew from my mind, but I think it was about, partner universities, yes. So we as a program don't specifically have a exchange program, but our Faculty of Humanities and Leiden University has that. So you can take a look at, if you Google study abroad Leiden University, you will get an entire website about how to arrange that and what kind of universities we have an exchange with. If you already know that you don't want to be a researcher but are interested in working in the cultural fields, for example for a museum, is this a suitable master, or would you advise to pick a master that is not research based, such as museum studies? Might I give an answer a little bit about this, because I'm also the MA Arts and Culture study advisor. You say that is not research based, it is very much research based, that masters in museum studies.
Mm-hmm.
But within this program, the focus is mostly on research, and you will find that a lot in research university degrees. It's not impossible, although I imagine that a lot of our MA students, so not the research master students, MA students usually go for the cultural field in a museum way, but it is also kind of what you want, because cultural field is huge, right?
Yeah, can I also respond to this? I think I have friends who have gotten internship opportunities at different institutions, and have studied like curatorial studies and museum studies while doing this program as well. Like, you can take courses in curation, and so it definitely doesn't like exclude you from pursuing that kind of program.
And to also maybe add something to that myself, whether you pick a more specialized master in museum studies, if you know this is what you want to do, or you follow a broader research-based master like ours, it really depends on also what you feel you want to gain out of such a research program. I mean, also when you work in the cultural field or in museums, you might, or you will probably be asked to position yourself in specific fields to create a conceptual framing for, let's say, a museum exhibition or what have you. And for those kinds of tasks that are also included in the package of working in a museum, I think our master could be extremely helpful. So it really depends a little bit on where what you're lacking and what you want to do.
It's a big question. Yeah. So the next question would be, would you say this master's always circles back to literature, or always concerns literature of different periods, of course, or is that not a necessity in your chosen research?
All right, I can take this one, I think. Well, literature is one of the three main keywords of the program, so you will find it as a recurring topic of discussion, or in many of our courses, not in all of our courses. But I would definitely not say that you have to work with literary texts in your chosen research in this program. We've had many, for example, master thesis topics that did not work on literature, but who worked on other things.
And I specialize in documentary film, so I'm not just doing literature. I'm working with a whole range of media. So
So you will be exposed to some literature, but you definitely don't have to stick to that.
Yes. Next question is, can I start this program in February when I'm finishing my bachelor at Utrecht University in the semester? So the final bachelor course ends at February 2nd. I'm afraid our second semester starts February 1st. So you need to be done with your bachelor's degree before that. So it seems in this case wouldn't work out. So that might be better to start in September instead. What are the options for disabled and or chronically ill students in terms of guidance and support? So general support and guidance you can find at the Fenestra office, counselors, and they are the ones who can give you a specific statement stating what kind of accommodations might make sense or might be needed in your situation. So we've got a lot of students who get some extra time for their exams, but also, some if there's something with absences, some of the courses require you to be there. If there is something with absences, be aware of that. What I do want to be honest about is that online education is not always an option here. And I know a lot of our disabled and chronically ill students would really like that, but that is not something that is necessarily always in every course the case. So I want to be honest about that. But if you want to have more information about that, reach out to Fenestra, because I'm sure they will be able to tell you lots more about this. Any additions? I don't think so. Where do you do the language test? I would recommend you look at the website, at the admission requirements, because it will mention there what kind of language tests we accept. So we have the ELTS test and the TOEFL test that we generally accept. I think Cambridge as well. But be aware that this test needs to be less than 2 years old. So if you've done it 3 years have gone by, we don't accept it anymore. But ELTS and TOEFL have specific locations where you do it. Next up is, what is the gender and Dutch/international balance of staff and students at the program?
Oof, that's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
We don't have the statistics, but
no,
maybe
I don't really have the statistics. I do think that we've got a rather big amount of international students.
Yeah, so I can maybe speak to just my cohort. I think we are 5 or 6 Dutch students, and then the rest are international students. And then the gender makeup, more women than men, but yeah, it's I think it's going to depend on whoever applies, and yeah, so.
Yeah, in this year's cohort, we also have a few more, I think more women than men in the program.
Yeah, I think generally more women than men.
Yeah.
Because of humanities somehow.
And in terms of staff, I think it's quite mixed.
Yeah.
Quite mixed, both in terms of gender and international or Dutch.
Yeah.
Although instructors, I think most instructors are probably Dutch or Dutch speaking, but not all of them.
Yeah.
I'm not Dutch in any case, so
no,
that's one.
But you can speak Dutch.
I can,
okay, so next question is, what should I focus on, skills, courses, experience, while applying for this program? So once again, I would advise, look at the application procedure on the website, because it is detailed on there that you have to hand in your course list. You have to hand in a master's questionnaire in which you detail a bit more about what your skills are. But also you have to hand in a CV and recommendation letters. I think it's one recommendation letter now.
I think so too. And then there is a letter of motivation.
And a letter of motivation, of course.
One tip perhaps for those interested in applying, if you find that you meet all the requirements, that you don't meet all the requirements for a research master program, but you still think that it is really something for you, you can motivate really well why you should be in this program, then the motivation letter plays quite a big role in the selection procedure. So there you really have to, explain, motivate why you want to be in this program, why this is for you, even though you might not meet exactly, all the requirements or have like a 2-point grade lower than
yeah, exactly.
necessary.
But also, this is the Research Master Arts, Literature, Media, and if you're very interested in pursuing this line of work, but you don't meet certain requirements, we also have the MA Literary Studies, the MA Media Studies. So there's still, options for you at this university. Yeah.
And you can start with an MA and then choose to do a research transfer to the research masters. So that's something that some students have done.
Yeah, but if you want to transfer from the MA to a research master, you have to have a certain grade average for that, because this is a research very much more research-oriented program. So.
And maybe I can speak to that bit as well. As a research master's student, you're going to be expected to do more in certain courses.
Yes.
So, for instance, you might be asked to show more like theoretical knowledge for a certain assignment, or you might just be asked to write 1,000 or 1,500 words more than what the usual limit is. So it does ask also just for each course a little more from each student, but that's also with the mind of really getting you prepared to do research. And I find that I actually prefer having longer assignments because if you really want to like go in depth into something, it's nice to have a lot of room to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next up is the question, what kind of topics do students in this program write their thesis about? We did have a few already mentioned, but they were literary maybe related?
Not all of them. One of them was about the Squid Game, which is a series on Netflix. But I did mention a few examples, but I would just refer you to the Leiden Thesis Repository. It's a webpage that is pretty easy to navigate. Yeah. And just remember to look under Research Master Literary Studies and Arts and Culture, the previous versions of our current program.
Yeah, you can also send me a message if you can't find a link. I'll just set you up. So, is a language test required for students who have completed an English language and a culture bachelor? This is a very specific question, and I would really want you to look at the application admission requirements on the website. Certain students don't have to, other students have to. And for your specific situation, I can't really speak to that. So please take a look at the website. If you want to specialize in the media/documentary field, what would the difference be in approach between the film and photographic studies master and this master? Well, I'm also a study advisor for that particular program, so I kind of know a little bit about this. Film and photographic studies is a master that prepares you for a career in film exhibition. It's a lot about that. So it will give you some contemporary theories about film and photographic studies, but it will mostly be about preparing you for the field of exhibition in film or photos, so in museums. It's very it has some practical approach there. So media and documentary is mentioned there, but we have a who's interested.
I study documentary, and I think that this master's is very suited for if you want to study documentary as a medium and as something that is culturally embedded, something which it's going to be more about aesthetics and about the politics of an object, especially with documentary studies. So, yeah.
Okay. Is there also a 1 year's master's program, Arts, Literature and Media, that does not focus on research that much? In the Netherlands, a master's program at a research university, so University of Leiden, University of Amsterdam, whatever, are all research-based master's programs. So if you're looking for a more practice-based education, you're not going to find it there that much. I would recommend taking a look at HBO's, University of Applied Sciences programs, because that might be a bit more practice-based if you're looking for that. But especially, I've mentioned we have the MA Literary Studies, the MA Arts and Culture, and the MA Media Studies, but they will all be about research to some certain degree, and here it's like heightened, but at the other programs it's still there. Yeah. Is it possible to do an internship at a museum? I see someone nod.
As far as I know, it's definitely possible to do an internship at a museum or a publishing house or other kind of internship as part of the program. Yeah. It might, you can say a few things about that as well. It might mean that you have to delay your study a little bit if you want to do an internship.
Yeah, maybe. My experience with this research master is that not a lot of students go for internships in general because the program is so research based and asks quite a lot about research from students. So case-based research is already sort of an internship. So not a lot of students go for an internship for our program. It might be, but in my experience, it doesn't happen too often.
It's definitely possible, though.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but Is it possible to choose a course from the art history program? Yes.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Very easy. Yes, you are able to choose.
So maybe I can speak a little bit to this. I think one of my favorite parts of the course or the program is that you can choose from a lot of different courses from different catalogs. So I've taken courses from the Latin American Studies Research Master's program. I've taken courses from the Media Studies program. So you basically have different, and I know that you can take courses with the African Studies program,
Asian Studies, Russian.
So if you have, for instance, a particular regional interest, there's definitely the possibility of taking courses in that region. Yeah.
But be aware that it needs to somehow be related to arts, literature, and media if you're pursuing courses elsewhere. So it has to have some connection to what you're doing here. Not to be far off away from arts, literature, media as fields. And this is also something that relates to the question that we now have. So do you have any staff members specializing in specific non-Western media and literature?
Yeah, I mean, we do. As I said in my presentation, Lucas has some 180 academic staff members working on different periods, different cultures. So there is definitely a lot of expertise, or also non-Western literatures or cultures. Some of them also teach in our program. Of course, many don't. But since this is a flexible program where you get to choose, to make lots of choices from other programs, you can of course choose to follow courses with staff members working on non-Western cultures, etc. You can do that also through the national research schools. I know, for example, that OSL has a course on African literatures, so there are possibilities.
And one final thing is, if there aren't the courses available, you can still go and talk to professors who specialize in that field, and they would be happy to guide you towards resources to, pursue a certain topic. So,
I think those were the questions that we have. Any final words?
Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much, Jan, Laura, and we hope to see some of you in Leiden in February or next year. Think about it.